to our distinguished professor, to the respective administrative staff, to the fellow students, good morning. On our behalf of our Group E, that's our pleasure to welcome to you for this second day of presentation for ISS. So my name is Tuki. I am from Tokyo NODAI, and I will be one of the chairperson for this presentation for this Group E. So our presenters from Group E have prepared to you some interesting and insightful presentations. So before we start, let me call them one by one. So for our first presenter will be Hami Namikawa. She's from Tokyo University of Agriculture. Let's give her an applause. Our second presenter will be Khalid Hassan. He's from Bangladesh Agricultural University. So our third presenter will be Faith Muteu Musembe. Hi. She is from Institut Polytechnique Unilassal. And our fourth presenter will be Manu Liu. So she's from University of Reading in UK. So those are our presenters for today. So which presentation will be followed by question and answer. So now I would like to give the mic to my co-chairperson. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm also the sponsor for chairperson, and I'm Mayu Yamamoto from Tokyo University of Agriculture. So now let's move on to the presentation session. Our first presenter is Ami Namekawa from Tokyo University of Agriculture. She will present regional revitalization efforts in Namiya, Fukushima after the Great East Japan earthquake. So Ami, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ami Namekawa from Tokyo NODAI. Thank you for your attention. Are you familiar with the Great East Japan earthquake that occurred on March 11, 2011? It was the fourth largest earthquake ever recorded in the world. The massive tsunami that followed immediately after the quake swept away towns, houses, roads, and ports along the Toho coast in an instant. Causing catastrophic damage across a wide area, the tsunami also reached the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant, resulting in a severe nuclear disaster due to the loss of power and hydrogen explosions. This nuclear accident had a major impact on agriculture. Damage caused by the tsunami included farmland was flooded, leaving a high concentration of salt in the soil. The accumulation of debris and surge, as well as land subsidence and liquefaction, caused physical damage to agricultural land. To address these issues, desalination measures were required. Regarding radioactive contamination from the nuclear accident, agricultural products suffered reputational damage. Radioactive materials contaminated the soil, making topsoil removal and decontamination necessary. Despite this challenge, as of 2023, most of the affected farmland and agricultural infrastructure have been restored. As shown in this graph, about 90% of farmland in Fukushima now usable. However, the rate of farming resumption varies by municipality. While Hirono-town shows a high rate of agricultural recovery, Tawa-town and Namie-town still have a resumption rate. From this graph, we can see that the farming resumption rate is proportional to residential population rate. Despite the high restoration rate of agricultural infrastructure, the farming resumption rate remains low. In other words, these data show that while agricultural workers are needed, including both the resident population and the lay population is also essential. Even if the farmland is technically viable for use, the soil quality and field conditions have not fully recovered. Therefore, continued farmer improvement and support for improving work efficiency are also essential. In response to this challenge, I joined the Namie Reconstruction Support Project, which focuses on recovery efforts in Namie Town, Fukushima. This project promotes new agricultural development in Namie through initiatives such as expanding new farmers, promoting integrated agriculture business, and advancing smart agriculture. These activities are carried out in a collaboration with Namie Town and Butai Farm, utilizing the university expertise in reconstruction. 8 years after the Great East Japan earthquake on January 31st, 2019, a partnership agreement was signed between Namie Town and Tokyo NODAI, launching the Namie Reconstruction Support Project. Today, the project has also expanded to Futaba Town, where the farming resumption rate remains low. The projects aim not only to support agriculture, the town's core industry, but also to develop human resources in the commercial and industrial sectors by engaging university and graduate students in educational and research programs. The project seeks to increase exchange and related population in Namie, encourage new farmers, and promote employment in local companies. Through this expansion and revitalization of agriculture production, the project also aims to strengthen collaboration with related industries and contribute to regional economic revitalization. The Namie Reconstruction Support Project offers various courses, with activities ranging from agricultural fieldwork to study sessions. I belong to the garlic team, which I will now introduce. In the garlic team, student volunteers apply the knowledge and skills learned in university courses to produce, distribute, and develop processed garlic products in Namie. Our goal is to build a Namie garlic brand through the integrated agriculture business and contribute to the town's recovery and development. We grow samurai garlic under the guidance of local farmer Sayaka Yoshida. Samurai garlic is produced using compost made from horse manure from horses. They participate in the traditional Soma no Mayo festival alongside samurai. Horse manure compost, which consists mostly of organic matter, is rich in plant-based organic materials that serve as food for soil microorganisms. As these microorganisms break the material down, it provides abundant nutrients for crops and enhances both the soil water holding capacity and its ability to retain nutrients. The garlic harvested region is known for its mild aroma and rich, mellow flavor. Garlic was chosen because it pairs well with soil conditions after topsoil removal and with horse manure as a soil abandonment. Namie has a long tradition of eating katsuo sashimi with grated soy sauce, and garlic is less susceptible to wildlife damage. Our main activities include, first, providing cultivation guidance to farmers. Second, field-work and practical training. Third, developing processed products. Fourth, regular study sessions. And fifth, participating in events and sales activities. Through these activities, I realized the following. Using university knowledge, we can identify both the structural challenge and potential in agriculture in disaster-affected areas. By sharing information, we can help raise awareness of Namie and expand the related population. These activities can lead to new farmers and long-term community involvement. Next, I will discuss specific challenges and future prospects. The garlic farm we work with is family-run. Garlic cultivation still relies heavily on manual labor due to the limited mechanization. Even during our one-week training, we felt how physically demanding the work is. Going forward, we aim to review the cultivation plan and further improve work efficiency. Additionally, soil analysis and investigation into issues such as root rot are still incomplete, so further research is needed to ensure stable production. We hope to support not only product promotion but also the farmers themselves. And next, our sale activities have mainly focused on expanding the garlic products themselves. However, from now on, we want to highlight not only the product but also the strengths, the farmers, and the story of Namie. We hope to spark interest among people outside Namie and eventually connect this interest to increase the related population. Namie still has many areas designated as difficult to return zones, and full recovery has not yet been achieved. Residents and project members alike hope to restore the charm of Namie and increase the number of returnees. Namie and sorry, just as the partnership between Namie Town and Tokyo NODAI was formed, new connections have emerged through reconstruction efforts. We hope that these connections will help create a new Namie and generate even greater value. Through contributing to regional recovery and revitalization, we aim to expand these connections beyond Namie. These are references I use. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you, Almi, for your presentation. Now I will open Q&A session. If you have any questions or comments, please raise your hand and state your name and your institution before you ask. Does anyone have questions? Okay.
Good morning. My name is Dewi from Nodai. Thank you for your presentation. It's very interesting. I have a question related to how many groups are involved in this project? Because you mentioned you were from Team Garlic. I'm supposed it's related to the commodity in Fukushima. So is there any other groups that focus on other commodity? Thank you.
There is some teams and we have the two groups, the Team Garlic and Team Fig. Team Garlic has 30 members and Team Fig nearly 30 members.
Okay. So there are Team Garlics and Team Fix.
Yeah.
Okay, understand. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have question? Okay, I would ask question. From my perspective as a Japanese consumer, even if I know that the environmental quality has improved, that they can cultivate agriculture products, but still I'm worried about the contamination. So may I have your explanation on how the soil condition has improved?
Yeah. And the soil in Namie tend to absorb radioactive substances easily. However, we can remove these substances by stripping the soil, and we have proven its safety through the rigorous testing.
Okay, so she answers that the soil in this area tends to absorb the radioactive substance easily. So we also can remove these substances by stripping the soil, the surface of the soil. And yeah, we have proven its safety through rigorous testing. So from the program and from the testing, it is proved that it's safety. Okay, is it anyone else?
Hello, I'm Alia from University Putra Malaysia. I would like to ask a question. Before that, I would like to congratulate for your amazing program. My question is there any ways of you guys generating fund for all of this project, because it consists a lot of programs, and may I know how you manage to get fund for all of these project? Thank you.
Okay, so her answer is like the local government collect the waste, especially the soil waste. But now still we're discussing how we can manage the waste. This is the one of problem of Japan government. Yeah, still we're discussing. Yeah. Is there any question?
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Yuki Sawai from Tokyo NODAI. Thank you for your presentation. I'd like to ask a question about reputational damage related to Fukushima's production, because you wrote about the reputational damage on your slide. So are there any challenges about reputational damage about crop production of Fukushima?
Okay, so her answer is like we need to remove uh, the radioactive substance for its safety, but it also removes the nutrients of the soil. So the soil condition decrease because of the absorption. Yeah. So this is the also problem of this area of agriculture. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any question? Okay. Okay, so please give her applause again. Thank you for your presentation, Nami. Now let's move on to the next presenters. Our second presenter is Khalid Hassan from Bangladesh Agriculture University. He'll explain the promoting students' potential towards agriculture related to social development through innovative works supporting community during crisis and enhancing farmers' livelihood. So, Khalid, the stage is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my presentation. At first, I would like to thank the organizers to give me the opportunity to present my work. So my name is Khalid Hassan, and I am from Bangladesh Agricultural University, and my academic advisor is Professor Dr. Rashidur Rahman. So today, I will present my student-led initiative named Promoting Students' Potential Towards Agriculture-Related Social Development through innovative works, supporting community during crisis, and enhancing farmers' livelihood. Through my presentation, I will show you how the university students of agriculture background can help the community from their own side and can transform a natural disaster into an opportunity to solve the problems of real life in farming situations. So, so I am from Bangladesh, and Bangladesh is a small country, and it is mainly an agricultural country, and almost 40% of the workforce is involved in agriculture. And the rice is a staple food of Bangladesh, and Bangladesh is the third most rice producers in the world. And rice is mainly grown in 3 seasons, but in the second season, it is affected by flood. And a massive flood submerged almost a great portion of Bangladesh in August 2024. It submerged almost 11 districts out of 64. And here it is the map of Bangladesh. You can see that the red portion area shows the flood affected area, and in the second picture you can see that during the flood only the top portion of the houses and the trees are only seen, and the fields and the lands are all submerged underwater. So as the water stagnancy continued up to 2 weeks, so farmers were in trouble. They could not get the food, and all the crops, including the rice seedlings which were underwater, become destroyed by the polluted waters. So the farmers at the time did not get the opportunity to raise seedlings because uh, in this picture you can see that only the houses are there, and the other areas were agricultural fields, but they are underwater. In the second picture you can also see that only the house is seen, but the area surrounding the house is also underwater. So farmers were in that kind of situation. They did not get the opportunity to raise the seed beds so that they can replant their seedlings after the water receded. So it was that the situation. So from our university, the students of Bangladesh Agricultural University expressed their willingness to help the farmers through our background. So we shared our idea through the social media that we want to help the farmers through agricultural background, and we then got a lot of support from our universities, the organizations, the alumni of Bangladesh Agricultural University, and then we formed an online group first. And through the online group, we could organize all the members who want to do this. And through the social media and print media, we got huge response. Our alumni, the student organizations, the students near the school, the research organizations, the non-government organizations, as well as the government organizations showed their interest and appreciated our initiative. So, and by this, we have got a huge number of volunteers, more than 100, and we formed a new student organization named Agri Students Alliance Bangladesh. And from the organization, we then arranged some offline meetings with the stakeholders, and to implement our activities, we have taken suggestions from our seniors, the advisors and professors of the university. They uh, they advised us to take the initiatives to support the farmers through providing the rice seedlings when the water will recede. So to execute our plan, we have to collect a lot of money. So within a week, we could reach a good number of donor to get the fund, and we have collected a huge amount of fund to execute our planning. So here is the time to uh, execute our time, execute our planning. So for convenience, we have already got more than 100 volunteers to work with us. So for uh, uh, smooth implementation of our program, so we are divided into 6 different groups: the administration wing, the finance wing, the field inspection wing, the communication wing, and lots of wings. There are more, in total there are 6 wings. So the administration wings kept all the records and the academic papers, and the field inspection wing gave the supports to the farmers through the agricultural science, like how to manage the crops, how to uh, conduct the cultural management practices, how to uh, uh, cope up with the pest managements and all these things. Our communication wing tried to communicate with the volunteers, to the organizers, to the distributors, and to the donors as well. And our media wing helped us through disseminating our works, our activities, and our programs to the others, so that we can execute our program easily. So here is the field condition when we are working on the field. The team existence is alliance is working in the field, and to execute our plan, we have to got a large amount of field. So it's very difficult to get a field. So we requested the research organizations and the universities to give us their bare lands, so that we can use it for a month to raise the rice seedlings. So our volunteers were in the field to uh, practically sow the rice seeds. So in the picture you can see that there are the 2 fields, and in total we got 5 different locations to show our seeds. And here the different growth conditions of the rice seedlings. You can see in the first, second, and third week condition of the rice seedlings. And we know that after 25 to 35 days, when the rice seedlings attains, then it will be enough mature to be distributed, to be transplanted in the field. So in this stage now we need to transplant to the field, main field. So we need to pull up all the seedlings and transport to the distribution center. So in this picture, we can see that we have distributed in different locations to the farmers. And through this project, we could help almost 750 different farmers. And uh, our work did not, so our distribution did not end with the distribution. So our field inspection team time to time visited to these places and provide the farmers the necessary guidelines, the suggestions, the trainings to make their successful harvest. So our next project was to distribute the livestock animals to the farmers. So it was a pilot project in different area. So we wanted to know that uh, if the farmers can raise their uh, animals in the grazing lands. There are so many grazing lands in these areas, and the input cost is so low to raise the goats. So we have provided 100 goats to 100 families, and we could we wanted to make a long-term income source for the families. So it was our second project, and this is our third project where we have provided hybrid maize seeds and fertilizers to the farmers. This project was in near the river shore areas. That means there are beside the rivers there are so many sandy areas, but they are mostly uncultivated, and the farmers do not take it under cultivation because once in a year it is flooded. But in the other months, these are left uncultivated. So we tried to introduce a new crop, and so that's why we selected maize. As we know, maize is a highly stress tolerant and high yielding crop. So we decided to introduce to the farmers, and we have provided maize seeds and seed fertilizers to 80 farm families. And we also provided training to them, and we have uh, time to time visited to there and provide the necessary guidelines and pesticide managements and all these things. So this is the result of our program. You can see in the first three pictures, this is the rice flowering stage, this is the rice in maturing stage, and this is in the harvesting stage. So that was the result of our rice distribution project. And in the second row, you can see that I was taking interview from a farmer that how was the maize in that region. Once these areas were unplanted and bare lands, so the farmer is standing in front of his field. You can see the result of it. So I have summarized the reports of our projects. Through the late season rice distribution project, we could help almost 750 farmers, and it contained 75 hectares of land, and the approximate yield was more than 300 tons. And through the goat distribution project, we provided 90 goats to 90 families, and we have got in 1 year that it went to 200 in numbers. And through the hybrid maize seeds and fertilizer distribution project, we could help the 80 farmers, and they have made 76 tons of maize grains. So here is a video. I can show you the review of a farmer. You can see that the field with the standing crop, and you can see in the side of this video that there are also the bare lands. So the farmer is expressing his feelings in front of me, that he's very happy with our new project, and he's expecting a very good yield after some months. So here was the session, and you can see this. So this is a story from the farmer, and he told me that he's also motivating the other farmers near him so that they can introduce their new crops to their bare lands. And you can see that uh, in the side of this farmer there is also a bare land. So he's motivating the other farmers. So we wanted to make motivated the other farmers near him. So to execute our programs, so we have faced several challenges. The first one is fund collection. So we have to communicate with our donors so that we can get a lot of fund to execute our program. And our innovative ideas and programs depends on the fund collection. So, and second one is, in our university, the students are very busy with their academic works. So they have exams, their classes, and it's very difficult to visit remote areas and give 2 to 3 days to visit to execute a program. So for students of undergraduate and masters, it's very difficult for him to allocate this time. So we have to allocate our volunteers according to their leisure times, and we are providing a small scale support distribution to the farmers, but a lot of needy groups are there, but we cannot provide support to all of them. In conclusion, I can say that as I am from agriculture background and I am studying in university, I think university should have responsibilities to their community development. And I am, as we are from agriculture university, we can support our community through agricultural activities. So through this organization, we have tried to support our community from our academic knowledge to real life problems. And so we have tried, and I think we are successful in this way. And I am very grateful to my academic professor. And in the right portion, you can see my team. And in the middle portion, I am taking the responsibility as the president of this organization. So thank you for your patience hearing. If you have any question, feel free to ask me.
Thank you for your presentation, Khalid. So now let's move on to the Q&A session. If you have any question or comments, please state your name and introductions and raise your hand. Yep.
Hi, I'm Gabriela from University of São Paulo in Brazil. Congratulations on your project. It's really impressive to unite that much people to help the farmers. In Brazil, we were like in the same situation years ago. There was a big area that was affected by a flood. So it destroyed like lots of cities and fields. And people unite to reconstruct it. But less than a few years later, there was another big flood, and destroyed everything.
Yeah.
So I'd like to know, what do you think communities could do to build better, more resilient communities? Like how, because on as an effect of climate change, probably there will be another flood and destroy the fields. So I would like to know how to build more resistant, more resilient fields.
Thank you for your question. The farmers in my country are already trying to cope up with the situations as climate change problem is now very severe in these areas. So, but they cannot cope up properly with this. They're trying to introduce climate resilient crops so that they can co- uh, grow in the area with floods. Maybe they can grow the submergence tolerance rice varieties. But in my area, it's not everywhere introduced yet. So the farmers are trying to introduce this kind of climate resilient crops, but they are not successfully introduced to all the areas. So they are facing the crisis. So we wanted to help them through this. And in the third project, I have shown that we have provided maize to those areas because maize is highly resistant to drought and all kind of situations where there is less nutrient and all these things, maize can survive well. So we have tried to support them, but they are also trying to get out, make cope up with this situation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, does anyone have question?
Okay, thank you. I'm Nico from IPB University. I want to ask you a question. So, what's your future plan on your organization? Because you are as a president, right?
Yeah, thank you, Nico. So as I am the president of this organization, so I am thinking about how we could take so many innovative ideas to execute. Our next plan is to develop so many family nutrition gardens in the new families. So in my country, there are unused homestead areas in every family. So we want to take this under cultivation. So we want to provide training to the family members, mostly the women person of the families, so that they can establish a family garden in front of their houses or near the houses, so that they can get year-round sustainable vegetable production from their own garden without using the harmful pesticides. So we want to execute in as soon as possible. We want to execute this program, and we have another ideas on my mind. It will depend on our fundings. That is. In our university, lots of innovations are developed recently. So we want to execute in the field level, whether these are performing good or not. So so we want to execute this kind of innovative ideas and the innovations from our university in the field level. So that these are our next plannings. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your question and answer. Okay, so now again, please join me to give an applause. Thank you so much for your presentation, Khalid.
Thank you very much. So now I've noticed that our presentation looked like a journey to the West, because we started from Japan, we make a transit in Bangladesh, and now we arrived in France. So now let's invite five Muteu Musembi. She's from Institut Polytechnique de La Salle. No, Institut Polytechnique Uni La Salle, sorry. So she will explain us bridging the adoption gap, understanding factor influencing farmers' decision toward an agroecological transitions. So, Faith, please share to us some information from France. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Hey, where I come from, when you say good morning, people respond. So let's try that again. Good morning, everybody. Thank you. That's more like it. So my name is Faith Musembi from the Unilassal Polytechnic Institute in France, and it is an absolute pleasure to have every one of you here this morning. Now, today I want to talk to you about something that every single person in this room has experienced: change. Now, we live in a world that is constantly changing. Our technologies change, our workplaces change, our food change, everything about, even we ourselves change. So today I just want to talk to us about change. And for agriculture, it applies as well because, as we have discussed even yesterday, a solution or any idea really is only as good as it is able to be adopted and implemented. An idea is not only measured by just how innovative it is, but the ability of people to also adopt it and maintain it for it to actually work in the long term. Now, this is the interest that we had in our project Adopt, that we performed in the Seine-Maritime region, which is in the north of France. And for us, our interest was mostly on agroecological practices, specifically diversification, and what barriers are coming into play in the French concept for adopting agroecological transition. Now, let us get what the problem is. As Peter Thrall said, agriculture has been a crucible of evolutionary change over thousands of years. And for the French system, this system has evolved into its current intensive agricultural system that is characterized by monocropping, high use of inputs and pesticides, and bringing more agricultural land into agriculture, and as well as mechanization. Now, with the backdrop of the World War II, which is when the intensification of agriculture in France happened, this intensive system actually worked because it helped France be able to curb the rampant food shortages that it had at the time. So they worked, but they also came at a cost: environmental, water pollution, pollution of the groundwater, aquatic ecosystems getting eutrophication, biodiversity loss through the use of pesticides, killing auxiliary insects and other insects that could help control pests insects, as well as soil degradation, which currently stands at 52% around the world. Now, with climate change exacerbating these issues, pest and disease burden as well is increasing with the increasing global warming that we have. And one thing you need to understand about French agriculture again, there is also quite a high level of specialization, which is regional. For example, the north of France will mostly focus on wheat production, beet production, flax, and rapeseed, and other regions will focus on other things. So specialization is also quite high. And it leaves farmers vulnerable to market volatility, the high changes of cost of inputs, and this is why there was need for introducing diversification as a measure to curb this issue. Now, let us understand a bit what the disease situation is. Now, according to FAO, every year we lose up to 40% of our plants to diseases. Just to name a few: wheat, 21%, 30% of rice, 17% of potatoes are all lost due to plant disease. That is an enormous amount of loss to food to diseases that could be used to curb hunger, because one of the sustainable development goals is zero hunger. And this is where diversification came in as a solution to this problem. And broadly, just to define diversification, it is a set of practices used to produce food sustainably by leveraging diversity at a plot, field, or a landscape scale. Now, the objectives of our project were two. One, we wanted to understand what factors influenced the adoption, maintenance, or even abandonment of diversification practices in Seine-Maritime, which was our area of interest. And two, to be able to understand, do these practices actually have impact on microbial disease management? So let us see what we did about this. So we worked as 5 students, me and 4 others. We started first by identifying the common diseases that exist. As I already explained, there is specialization. So in North Maritime, mostly it's wheat, barley, rapeseed, flax. So we checked to see the microbial diseases that affect these plants. And then we moved on to a bulletin santé végétal. This is just a plant health bulletin that the Chamber of Agriculture in France, that usually supports and advises farmers in France, usually produces every 2 weeks, so to advise farmers on the level of different pests and diseases and how they are evolving within every month. Then we made an interview guide because our interviews were mostly going to be qualitative. We created an interview guide that was open-ended to allow farmers to express themselves freely. And then we contacted and collected different kinds of profiles of farmers, some in organic agriculture, some in conventional, some in regenerative agriculture. Then we conducted the interviews themselves and prepared the analysis of our data, and then presented our results to our partners, because we are working with INRAE, which is an institution, a research institution in France, that this whole project was also being used to inform the changes and the review of the CAP, which is the Common Agricultural Policy of Europe, that usually supports farmers in Europe by incentivizing even the transition of agroecology. Then why was it interesting to actually have students conduct these interviews? Now, just imagine a situation, your boss calls you into his office and tells you, Ami, what is the problem you're having at the office? It is very possible, and the dynamics of our society are that you will temper your answer. You will have some inhibition to the kind of answer you give. But if we are having a tea and I ask you, hey girl, what's up? What's going on at work? You will have no inhibitions. You will completely complain about what is not working and be happy about what is working. But we are more likely to have an open and honest conversation. So this was the interest of having students do these interviews, because we had some exchanges with Chamber of Agriculture advisors, and they also had noticed that sometimes farmers will tend to temper their answers so that they seem that they are doing things right, or they don't want to sound like they're doing something wrong. So this helped eliminate this possibility, not to say that researchers do not get honest answers, by the way. And then, so let's move on to our results. Most of our data was qualitative, so we did, yes, generate MCA graphs and all, but I thought it's simpler to just give you the few insights that we got from the interviews that we did. And the top of the list to the barriers to adoption of diversification practices like agroforestry, crop rotation, was economic uncertainty, because farmers wondered, as we transition, are we going to survive it? Because it also includes a high investment cost. Just to implement agroforestry in an hectare, for example, would cost almost 1,000 euros in an hectare. And the maintenance of it as well is quite expensive. So the economic uncertainty was the top of the list. Secondly was technical complexity, because the different practices also are quite context specific, and if the farmer is not well advised or well informed, they would not be able to actually benefit from the practice itself. Additionally, we had policy barriers as well, because as I explained, in Europe we have the CAP that helps the farmers, and there are specifications to which you are supposed to, if you're implementing, for example, hedges, there is a level to which you're supposed to have implemented it for you to benefit from the incentive, so, or even the subsidy. So farmers complained, even when I try to some extent to what I am able to do without the help from the government, I am still not appreciated if I do not meet the threshold. So whatever effort I have put in goes unnoticed or goes unrecognized. So the last one was market limitations. Because, for example, we had a farmer who had implemented peas in his rotation to break away from the wheat, flax. And at the end of the day, because the supply chain is not set up to handle something like peas coming into the market, they don't know what to do with this product. So it ends up being a loss. He was not able to sell it. The cooperatives did not buy it. So he ended up with the product. So this was one of the other limitations. Now, since we had two objectives, our second objective to see whether there is actually impact on disease, our results were inconclusive because some farmers said, okay, yes, we have seen a huge impact on disease. Others, not so much. Others didn't even have the problem to begin with. So it was inconclusive and we did not make any conclusion about the impact of diversification on diseases. And as to our challenges, one was the sample size because we only managed to do 20 interviews. We interviewed 20 farmers. Also, their availability was not as easy to organize because farmers in France already work 5 hours beyond the normal working hours of a regular worker in France. So their finding time in their schedule was also not as easy. And as I said, quantification of the impact of disease was not, we did not have a way to quantify that, okay, this impact was 20% or 30%. No, so it was mostly subjective. So that is why it was inconclusive at the end. And then we were not able to capture diversity because this is only one region in the north of France. But for this to go into a policy, it needs to cover not only France, but also the entire Europe. So for it to be actually effective, it would need to be covered on different regions, on a different larger scale. And finally, was the variability of the effects of the different diversification practices, because something like cover crops or crop rotation, these are things that have been done culturally over the years, so they're not new things to them. But the variability of how they do it and what they use to even use in their rotation varies as to if they will actually contribute to their soil health and other things. So finally, I had the opportunity as well to have some interviews with a cooperative in Burkina Faso, that is an onion farmers cooperative, and then also in Kenya, working with women and goats in diversification as well. And in these two countries, diversification and agroecological practices are not something that is introduced or is being adopted. It is their natural way of life because they're not able to afford inputs that they have to buy, the chemicals, the fertilizer. They use nature to help them be able to produce better, to help them deal with diseases. So for them, nature is an ally, and that was the side of Burkina Faso and Kenya. And finally, in conclusion, ADOPT showed us that practices are not in as much as they are about the practice itself, it is also about the people. And for us to make solutions that actually will have impact, we need to have inclusivity in creation of these solutions so that the people who it will impact at the end of the day are actually asked and contribute to the formulation of the solutions, because at the end of the day, they are the people who are adopting these solutions and are expected to maintain them. So their involvement is paramount. So we come together, farmers, researchers, policymakers, students, and together we can co-create solutions that will help us build a sustainable agriculture for the future. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Faith, for your insightful presentation. So now we will open the session for the Q&A session. So we are welcoming for all questions, even if from sensei, from cameraman, you can ask a question for everyone. This is for everyone. So please raise your hand and someone will join you with a mic.
Hi, this is Siddesh from Michigan State University. I have a little different question. So the disease management, it's very promising to have a diversification. But how about early detection and early prevention? Why we need to change the mindset of the farmer? Like if they know something, we can train them to detect early and prevent early rather than spreading the disease. Is it possible? So why we are moving to diversification? Because as a son of farmer, I can understand it is very difficult for them. If they are practicing something for 40 years, 30 years, we are telling them to change. It's a bit challenging. That's why.
Thank you for your question. I wouldn't say we are telling them to change because these are things that they changed from. I mean, these are things that existed before. We are not. These are not new things that are being brought into play. It's just that the efficiency to which something like monocropping, where you just have a huge 20-hectare farm of wheat, for a farmer, it's very efficient because in France, one farmer on his own without labor can manage 100 hectares of a farm because he has the tractors, he has everything. So it's easier for this person to just have a tractor and go plant everything, harvest everything once. So when you tell him, okay, introduce trees, maybe do agroforestry or intercropping, then you're reducing the efficiency to which he will be able to harvest or even plant his crop. So it's not the diversification practices in themselves, for example, intercropping, in itself does not cure the problem. It helps prevent it from beginning in the first place. And when it starts, if I have a crop of maize and another of beans, for example, if the same crop that is affecting a disease comes affecting my maize, and in the middle it finds a beans, it will not cross over to the rest of the farm. So in itself, it is helping mitigate it. It is not like spraying when there is already the problem. It is helping prevent the beginning of the problem in itself. I hope I answered your question. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Another questions? Yes.
Hello, everybody. My name is Glenn. I'm from Tokyo NODAI. The question I would like to ask is, what is the specific role of the women farmers in Burkina Faso and Kenya when it comes to your research? Like, are you trying to learn how they go about their production and then introduce it to French farmers? Is that the
For the interviews we did with Burkina Faso and Kenya, it was not really a way of importing an idea. It was a comparative to see how to have another perspective of how things are working elsewhere. Because the system, for example, I am Kenyan, and the system in Kenya is not the same as the French system. So it was to see to what extent are these practices used in another side of the world, another side of the country. And for example, in Burkina Faso, they used zai pits, where you put soil with different compost in a little hole, and then you plant your crop, because they have a lot of soil degradation and soil fertility issues. So these are just different kinds of strategies that they're using, that they're just working with nature. It was not it was just a comparative to have a perspective of a different place, a different country, how things are working there. As for women, in Burkina Faso, women are the biggest farmers, actually, because they're the ones who are occupying themselves with onion farming a lot of the times. And yes, even in Kenya, women are big in farming.
I'd like you to clarify that point because I'm from Ghana, and in tomato production, we also work with Burkina Faso farmers. So are you saying when it comes to onion farming in Burkina Faso, it's usually the women that lead, or generally in Burkina Faso production, it's women who farm?
Women lead in onion farming in Burkina Faso, yes. because 70% of the farmers of the cooperative that we interviewed are women farmers. Because yes, majority of the land rights belong to the men, but the women are the ones who are farming the land.
One last question. I think, okay, to me, your research is the assessment of agroforestry-based methods on microbial pest management, yes?
Mm-hmm.
So did you also did you explore how agroforestry-based methods in the African countries affect their pest management?
No, not really, because we were focused on French agriculture, farmers in France. So agroforestry, I mean, like I said, diversification, there are several different practices. Agroforestry is among them, and it is one of the least adopted because of the inefficiency to which it brings to the farmer to have to buy new machine to be able to harvest, to size his farmland differently. So we focus mostly on the practices as a whole in France. And Kenya, it's a project that I did by myself, and Burkina Faso is the cooperative that we dealt with for onion farmers. So we did not go through agroforestry in itself. It was agroecological practices altogether.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Yes, we can have more questions as we still have time.
Hello, I'm Mia from Agricultural University, Myanmar. I have one question, and you said you did open-ended question, you interview. So you collected qualitative data, and how did you manage to interpret the answer?
Well, we extrapolated different informations from the interview themselves. Okay, we did the interview, recorded it, got a transcript of the interview. Then from the transcripts, depending on the different topics of assessment that we had, we got the information from the different transcripts that we had. And then we use R, it's a software that you can use to see correlations between things. And we used R and did MCA interpretations to see which barrier related to what and what practice.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. You can have one last question.
Thank you, Faith, for your wonderful presentation. I was really interested to the decision barriers that you've found on the farmers. I just want to know what are the backgrounds of your farmers that you interviewed? Because I'm sure if they're small, middle, or big farmers, they have a different point of view. Even though what plants they are using, also they maybe have different point of view. So I just want to know the backgrounds of your farmers.
Thank you. We had all types of farmers, really. On average, Normandy is a big farming region. That is where most of the wheat of France comes from. And we had different profiles of farmers. So the first part of our interview guide was just to understand who the farmer is, how educated they are, what kind of farming they are doing. So is it conventional, or is it organic, or is it there's something they call agriculture raisonnée, that is you're considering you have adopted some agroecological practices but not fully. So you're still in transition, but you still have a conventional system. So we interviewed different kinds of farmer profiles, honestly, and most of them were from 80 hectares to 220 hectares. I do not know what size that would be considered medium or high or large. I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So because of time, we should move to the next presentation. So let's applaud Faith for presentation. So as I said to you, our presentation is like a travel to the West. So unfortunately, you cannot go to US, but you stopped in UK. But the US will be in the next presentation. So now we reached the UK, our final destination. So her name is Manu Liu. He's from University of Reading, and her presentation is pushing boundaries for community welfare, youth-led participatory tools for inclusive food system and gender justice. So Manu, floor is yours.
Hi everyone, my name is Manu Liu and I'm from University of Reading. My research looks at how inclusive participation can improve food systems, gender equality, and community welfare. I study three different organizations and they work at three different levels. By comparing them, I want to understand how people can have a real voice in decisions that affect their daily lives. This research begins with a wider problem. Food insecurity is often discussed as a problem of food production, but producing more food does not always improve people's lives. We also need to ask who does the work, who owns resources, who controls income, and who makes decisions. Women also often do farming, cooking, cleaning, and care work. However, much of this work is unpaid and not recognized. So food welfare is also connected to gender, power, time, and decision making. So my main question is, how can inclusion become well in practice? I focus on four smaller questions. Whose work is organized? Who decides the main problem is? Whose need guides the action? And whose voice is used to judge whether a project is successful? I examine this issue across household, community, and city levels. In 2025, I joined a field trip in Bristol, a big city in the UK, where I learned about three different organizations working at household, community, and the city levels. For the first one, Ripple Effect, I studied a household activity called Grade and Stone exercise. And for Temwa, I attend a staff briefing and ask a question about how community take up part in decisions and how the organization measures its work. And for the third one, Bristol One City, I attend a local government briefing and also study their public food and climate document. After that, I compared the three cases to find their shared ideas, benefits, and the limits. So the first one is Ripple Effect. Ripple Effect is a UK-based development organization that works with rural families in Africa. It supports farming, family income, gender equality, and household welfare. I focused on its transformative household methodology, or THM. We used a large grid and the small stones. You can see the picture on there. One side of the grid, the family members are listed. For example, the father, mother, younger child, and the older child. Across the top, the family listed different daily tasks. They may include earning income, farming, cooking, collecting water, selling food, and cleaning the home, looking after their home garden or plants. The family then puts the stone into the grid to show how much work each person does for each task. So this activity does more than record daily work. It gives the family a clear visual picture of who does what and how fairly the work is shared. In many families, women do a large amount of unpaid work, but it's often treated as normal and rapidly discussed. When some stones are placed on the grid, the unequal workload becomes clear, allowing the family to discuss whether tasks should be shared more fairly. My main finding is that making labor visible can make it easier to question and change. However, the activity needs careful support. Without follow-up, families may only discuss the problem once, while the daily behavior remains the same. And the second one is Tenwa. Tenwa is a Bristol-based charity that works with remote rural community in northern Malawi. Its work includes food security, farming, local livelihoods, health, and education. The staff explained that Tenwa doesn't enter the community with complete plan and tell people what to do. Instead, community members first discuss the problem they faced and decide which needs are most important. This may decide relate to food strategies, farming, family income, health, or education. Tenwa then help residents turn these priorities into local-owned plans. Its role is support discussion, provide guidance, and help people take action, rather than make every decision for them. I also learned that this process is not only always simple. People within the same community may have different needs and opinions, so participation requires discussion and negotiation. This briefing showed me that community participation is not only about listening to local people, but also about connecting their priorities to evidence, decisions, and resources. To more use of monitoring and targeted assessment to help turn local concerns into evidence and can support decision making and communication with local authorities. However, community leads work takes time. It depends on trust, discussion, and careful follow-up. So it's often slower than project focuses on quick results. And the third case is Bristol One City. It's not a single charity. It's a citywide partnership that brings together local government, community group, charities, health organizations, and food organizations. It's like a collaboration framework. I learned about this case through an on-site local government briefing. I also studied Bristol Public Food and Climate Strategy document. During the briefing, I asked how community needs enter city decisions and how different organizations work together. I learned that Bristol does not treat food only as a supply problem. Food access is also linked to income, health, transport, and the environment and climate goals. The food inequality strategy focuses on reducing food inequality and improve access to healthy and affordable food. Its climate strategy also connects the local food system with lower carbon emissions. These shared plans help different organizations coordinate their work across the city. This case showed me that partnership can connect problems that often treat separately. By bringing food, health, climate, equality into same plans, different organizations can share information and work towards common goals. So my main finding is that wider participation can improve coordination, but it does not automatically lead to shared power. Community groups may be consulted, but meaningful participation depends on whether they can influence targets, budget, and final decision. However, this model can still be affected by political change, limited budget, and unequal power between the partners. So looking across these three cases, the main differences is the level at which participation happens. Ripple effect focuses on household, Tenwa focuses on community, and Bristol One City focuses on city government. However, they share the same basic idea. People should not only be included in activity. Their work, needs, and views should shape what happens next. Together, the cases show that inclusion can improve welfare by making hidden problems visible, making action more relevant and improving accountability. They also show one common challenge. Meaningful participation takes time, while many projects still focus on short-term results and simple targets. Across these three cases, the wider challenge is how to keep inclusive participation going over time. Short projects and simple targets often fall to value trust, discussion, and shared decision making. So based on my findings, I suggest 4 actions for our students. First, create simple tools that community can use. Second, design fair and useful indicators with communities. Third, build longer university community partnerships. And finally, make sure trust, discussion, and a community voice, not only final result. These steps can connect to students' action with better tools, stronger partnerships, and improve community welfare. My final message is that youth partnership can push boundaries when only it becomes a lasting practice rather than one-off activity. And before I finish, I would like to thank to my professor, Shasa Derry, for her guidance and support my paper. And I would also thank to Joel Davis and Rebecca Jeromot for their teaching, guidance, and support throughout my research and field work. Thank you for your listening.
Yes, thank you for your presentation. So now we open the session of Q&A session. Does anyone have question? Okay. Yes, one question.
Thank you, Manu, for your presentation. I hear you mentioned like about that women have to like a large amount of unpaid for work, and like I confuse about like what's about like unpaid work for women, and are you means that women like should be for should be like paid for doing housework that their own families? Could you explain more about the detail for me?
Thank you for your question. When I use the term unpaid work, it doesn't mean that the family member should pay the salary to like mother. The term describes work that has real social economic value but does not receive a salary and often not of recognized. For example, a woman cooking provide food for the family and connecting water support the daily life. But and caring for children allows the other family member to work and study. These activities are essential, but even though no money is directly paid for them. So the main problem is that this work is often treated as naturally being women's responsibility. So as a result, women may spend much more time on household and care work than men. This can reduce the time they have for paid environment, employment, education, race, and participation in community decision. So, and therefore, my argument is not simply that women should be paid for every household task. The more important point is that unpaid work should be recognized, discussed, and shared more fairly.
Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you. We can have more questions.
First of all, I forgot to thank Faith during your for your presentation. So thank you for a wonderful presentation, and thank you to Manu
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm Glenn Ansa from Tokyo NODAI. Following up on her question, because I had the same thing, how then do you make it fair, the unpaid household labor?
I think that for example, the ripple effect use the rate and stone that you can let every family member to see their work. For example, in my family, if they use the grade and stone, my mother's work is the most. My mother do the cleaning, do the cooking. That my father did nothing in the home. He just earned money. That's all. It's not fair because my mother had spent a lot of time doing household and she had no time to do what she want to do. For example, the education or something else. That so I think it's the fair is not depends on the document or something. It's depends on the like more fair that everyone should do some stuff in your family that mother can have more time to do what they want to do. Yeah, that's all.
Yes. Same on that aspect of representation. First, the village you did the grid work with. I think slide number 5.
Yeah.
Which African country is that?
It depends on ripple effect, not because they go to the specific community that not the country.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in your presentation, you said in, I think, Africa and something like that. I just wanted to know where exactly that is.
You can search on the ripple effect website because they always use this methodology when they help communities.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I do some work with farmers, and that picture reminds me of one of the places I've been to. But then a lot of African countries around where I'm coming from, Sub-Saharan Africa, they look like this. And one thing that is very distinct is that some of this care work is informed by religion.
Mm-hmm.
So as much as you'd want it to be fair, there are certain lines that are very difficult to navigate.
Yes.
So in cases like that, what would you propose?
Pose?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Before you answer that, this is not something you personally worked with.
Yeah.
You didn't work with it personally. This is just your.
What ripple effect do, and they explain this methodology to us.
Okay, but so you personally don't have any experience with ripple
Yeah,
effect?
I'd like to, but I have no chance to go there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then I think it's okay, because if you had experience, then I can ask you to share how you go over that, because I've done projects and they're about gender, and gender is a very sensitive issue.
Yeah,
So sometimes you need to ask permissions from the husbands, from the community, before you can even start the topic of fair work.
Yeah.
There are certain topics, once you start, you are not allowed to continue. So I thought you may have experienced that and you could share that with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Um,
I learned from my university that, in fact, that many women in the Africa that they are afraid, they are very afraid to speak out to us because, like the husband do not let them to talk about the things in their family. It's very
real.
things. Yeah.
Yes.
So That's we need to do in the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. I think that this is the last question. So thank you, Manu, for your presentation. Now we'll pass to the closing remarks. Let's give an applause.
Okay, so are you guys tired or nervous for your upcoming session? I hope you got some insight from our presentations. So before we close this group session, let me recap our presentation. So for the first presenter, Ami explained regional revitalization efforts in Nami and Fukushima after the Great East Japan earthquake, and we landed by increasing Lamia town's relationship population and stabilizing its agricultural sector. We can pave the way for a true regional revitalization that goes beyond mere reconstruction. And from the second presenter, Khalid, he explained promotion students' potential toward agriculture leaded to social development through innovative work, supporting community during crisis, and enhancing farmers' livelihood. And we learned that we have responsibility to our society, that we have to be united and take initiatives to change the community by implementing our academic learnings. And there may come the obstacle, but we have to defend it by combined action to take our society in a new position. And from third presenter Faith, she explained between the adoption gap, understanding forecasts for factors influencing farmers' decisions toward an agroecological transition. And we learned that as we create solutions to be adopted in any field, we must include the input of the people for whom we are creating these solutions so that they may be effective. And from the last presenter, Manu, she explained pushing boundaries for community welfare yields that participatory tools for inclusive food systems and gender justice. She explores how participatory truths and partnerships can improve food systems, gender equality, and community welfare. Drawing on 3 case studies in Bristol, she examines how inclusion works in practice and what challenges may limit its long-term impact. So, overall, we Group E concur that it is quite vital to involve various stakeholders, not only within the community, but also from several different perspectives, including like the government, private agencies, and we students. So, okay, again, thank you so much, presenters, for your presentation, meaningful presentations. And on behalf of Group E, I would appreciate for all of you. And let's please join me to give our four presenters an applause. I hope this time provides you more insight. Thank you. That's all for Group E.